What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday Recap Podcast. This is episode 34, I believe, right? 34?
Yeah, 34.
Okay, 34, and I'm here with Pastor Steph, and let's just get right into it. How is it going in your life?
It is going really good. I mean, I think going good means...
See, that I wasn't convinced by that.
Well, I hate to always... make a life built on circumstances. Like, oh, it's good this week because of this, or it's bad this week. So I'm trying to work my own personal framework to go like, it's always going good.
Right.
Because God's always good. But it's been a fun week or a week that has had some cool things happening. I've been able to have some really cool conversations with people.
Yeah.
That's always like, I enjoy that. I enjoy meeting with people and hearing their stories. On a personal level, big deal today. We have lived in our house that we live in right now for 18 years. So that was like the house that I only had Kagan and Tyler when we moved in. I was actually like super pregnant when we moved in. I remember moving day, like sitting there and looking at all the rooms and going like, one day I will fill all these rooms. So this is just kind of the home that my kids were raised in. Tyler doesn't remember even living in our first home.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've lived there for 18 years.
Today?
No, in January it was 18 years. But we, for the past, 5-6 years, we'd been entertaining possibly moving. And so we stopped really like investing in our house and some things. So last year, James and I were like, all right, we're not moving. We're going to start making little changes.
Yeah.
So one of the projects was I wanted to put some wood in our entry. And it's like the big white, just standard tile that you get on like a just regular, like pre-built home or whatever. So anyways, today we are taking that out, and James helped me design this really cool like herringbone pattern, which took like a ridiculous amount of math. It was very hard, but he's very smart. So anyways, as I sit here, I'm like excited to go home today to see this floor. But I think what I'm going to see is my house in complete dust and disarray and barely any floor actually laid. So I'm trying to like approach for that. But my hope is I'm going to walk in and it's going to be like, like sparkly.
That's good.
So that's what's going on. I'm excited about that.
Well, that's fun. I live in an apartment, not a house, but I'll relate to you in the way that it's really fun since me getting married recently and us. What's today? Today's the 20, what is it? Second?
Third.
23rd. Today's the 23rd. So in 3 days, we'll be married for 1 month.
That went by really fast. I feel like it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, it'll be 3 weeks since we moved in because we obviously were on a honeymoon for a week. So we've spent like 2.5 weeks right now of like putting in a bunch of furniture. And by the way, Amazon, everything.
Shoot.
I will not go. I don't like furniture shopping.
Amazon. I mean, I never would have thought, but here I am.
I don't know what it is. It's so easy. And then the Prime Day shipping too. It's like.
I was telling somebody that today. When Amazon first came out, I was like, I will not. I'm a brick and mortar. I will be there. And now I'm just like every morning, like,
Yeah, no, I felt. So we're doing furniture shopping, and furniture shopping is like a car dealership. Who would have thought? They're preying on you right when you walk into the door. So anyways, we went and got that. But yes, I can celebrate was in the same way. I can't do as much like remodeling like to the walls, painting the walls and stuff, but we get pretty creative with the apartment
I enjoy
stuff.
the element. Before I became a pastor, I was like a part-time kind of stay-at-home mom, and I just loved projects. I was always painting something or doing something to the kids' rooms, and we just really haven't done that in years.
Yeah.
And so I was telling James the other night, I'm like, man, just getting to create and design this floor with you and, get excited. It's like, it's so life-giving to me.
Yeah. There's something really fun about, at least for me, interior design. I think that's fun too.
Yeah.
Just to be able to like, what's also too, like we get to like merge together now that we live together. Like what is our style of house, not just my style, whatever, and hers. So anyways, that's really fun, but that's good. That's brings a lot of joy. Your message this week was, who's got you?
Who's got you?
I don't know if you said it like that, but that's how I've been saying it. Like,
It's
gotcha is one word, but who's got you really?
Who's got you?
Yeah. And, it's a very, interesting message. Just, first of all, you opened up with this this story or this encounter that you had with this penny, right? It was like a sign of a penny, and where it would say "In God We Trust," it said "In reason
we trust."
right?
Yeah,
and that kind of being almost the basis of our message of like, wait, how many of us live our lives like that?
Right. Yeah.
Removing the reason or removing God out of it and putting it on us. And I can trust when I know all the facts or I have the reasoning or I can I could see how that could work.
Yeah. And I think there's one thing to believe something by preference. Mm-hmm. And there's another thing to believe it actually, like in your heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if somebody comes to me and goes, yeah, do you believe God's got you? I'm saying yes every time.
Yeah.
Do you believe God's good? Yes. Do you believe he's faithful? Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, then why do you worry so much?
Yeah.
Well, because sometimes, you just get to fill in exactly because there's a revelation that has to be in your heart to really go, God does got me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's difficult at times. You know, there's so many elements and so many circumstances that kind of fight against that. But sometimes as Christians, it's okay to go, sometimes I actually don't. My belief system isn't as strong as it should be. Mm-hmm. Because what is it? Acknowledgement's kind of half the battle. Yeah. So even for me, it was a difficult one to preach because that week there was a couple things going on that I knew I was kind of really concerned about or fearful of. And I remember Saturday night, I'm like, Lord, how can I preach this tomorrow? Yeah. When all week long I have been limited in how much I actually trust you. Mm-hmm. I'm like, normally when I preach a message, I've like actually overcome it. Maybe it was just the day before, but I was going in strong. Mm-hmm. And this, I'm like, Lord, I'm going in still guilty of sometimes not really trusting that you've got me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, like what you're saying, you don't really notice that. Like when everyone goes, do you have faith in God? Like, absolutely. You know, even said like our congregation, we love the songs about having trust in God, you know? And it's a real simple check to be like, okay, then like where is the root of your worry? And you can trace that back to like, oh wow, like I guess I'm not really have the faith that I thought I had or have the trust that I thought I have. Mm-hmm. I guess the question even right there is probably a good one to open up with is that like, I trust in God, I have faith in God. Like, does that mean the same thing? Are there differences between trust and faith in God?
I think so. I mean, you always ask me these questions that involve so much more explanation. It's usually something that I'm already on. Yeah. But that has been something that I've been on for several months of really recognizing the difference between trust and faith. And I think, and unbelief even, you know, trust could be, I really believe this is God's nature, that he will do this, that he can do this. Mm-hmm. I think that faith maybe is an extra empowered kind of movement in that to where it goes beyond, I know he can and he will. Mm-hmm. And I know it's happening. Faith's almost like believing it as it's already done. Yeah. Versus trust is going like, I trust you will. Yeah. Faith is actually going like, I know you did. So now I just have to really kind of step into that victory. Right. Yeah. It's one thing to trust that God is a healer. It's a whole nother revelation to have the faith to believe that you're healed. That's a different level. Yeah. But I would dare to say that sometimes we're not even fully in the trust zone. Yeah. You know, we're saying, I believe God can heal, but is he really a healer? Because that one time when my cousin, you know, we really prayed. Yeah. So I think we have all of these limits sometimes. You know, that was something one of the guys that encountered Jesus said to him. He said, help me with my unbelief. And I think we're always trying to prove we don't have that. Yeah. Maybe a good step would be like recognize that sometimes we do. Yeah. And that's why we get so upset or so emotional or so concerned because we're really not trusting who he is.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's a great breakdown of trust and faith, you know. And I think that, for us, you know, as believers in different seasons of our life, you know, can rely heavily on God and really have, you know, trust in him. And then at different times in different seasons, we lose it like that. It's funny because it's not a one-time thing. It's not like I now have trust in God and I'm good forever. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's really is a choice every day of what does it look like to walk out trusting in God, you know?
You know, as a pastor, I think I should be like, what is your favorite scripture? I'm just like, boom, I got it. And it's bothered me because for a while, I haven't really had a favorite scripture. But in this season, I really think my favorite scripture in the Word of God is, and we know that God is working all things out for good for them who is called according to his purpose. Well, I love it because first off, it says we know. It's saying that our faith, our relationship with Christ, how we live out should be based on what we know. There's such a solid format to that. But then it says we know that he's working all things out for good. Well, to me, that immediately attaches to his character. That's a revelation of going, he's good. That's how I know he's working all things out for good.
Right.
So it really reveals who he is and his nature. God is good.
Yeah.
And he's working all things out for good. Well, what does that mean? It means that he's working it out for good. It's not always what I say is good. I might not be able to always see how he's working something out. I might not even like the way he's working it out. But if I really know that he is good, I know he's working things out for good under his definition of good.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Yeah.
And then it's for those who are called according to his purpose. So what is my responsibility? To make sure I stay in his purpose and then I know his nature. What's his job? Everything else.
Yeah.
And I think that exchange is the exchange that we should have with the Father, us coming as sons and daughters, as children, going, God, I got to trust my dad. I got to know he's good, and I got to know he knows more than me. So, but whenever I don't feel like he's good and I don't think he's working things for good, that's when I tend to kind of start filling in some gaps here.
Yeah.
I might speed up timelines.
Yeah.
I might overstep conversations.
Right.
And I start manipulating things to work it out for good.
Yeah.
Because why? He didn't really have it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm not sure if he is.
Yeah. I think that sometimes I don't think it happens all at once. You know what I mean? I don't think we all just go, okay, God's plan isn't working. I'm throwing this out and I'm going. I think maybe sometimes in drastic cases where we really feel justified in those ways, we might make a brash decision like that. But I think a lot of times it's small things that lead up to being like, oh, wow, now I literally am not relying on God at all in this situation. When I prayed for it and I was walking hand in hand with him, but then one little small thing, I could see those are two things. And if I just do this real quick, I'll connect those dots. Yeah. You know, if I just do this real quick, then I can fill in the gap right here. And that makes sense to me if I can just go ahead and do this. And you might rush something, you know, and then pretty soon and correct me if this might be bad theology. We'll see. But if you're following God's plan, but then you go, let me go ahead and rush this one thing from then on, you're really on your own plan from that point. Yeah. It's not like you just bridge this one gap. Now, I'm not trying to say that God can't help you redirect the ship if you jerk the wheel too far to the right. But I am saying is that when you do, let's just say he is steering the ship, you do go in there real quick and you've taken his hands off and now you're the one that's driving. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you might be overcompensating and going this way. And now like, you look up and you go, he's standing right here being like, I guess you're driving the ship now, you know?
I think that's why maybe sometimes God's careful to give us too much of our purpose or of what he's trying to do. Yeah. Because then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we know where this is going. I'll take over driving from here. Right. Thanks for the directions. Yeah. It's, you think about the story with Abraham and Sarah, and God tells Abraham, you're going to be the father of many nations. Yeah. Then he comes and he tells him he has a son. So Abraham's like looking at the clock and he's like, it's getting way late in this game. Yeah. Sarah, she's getting real old. I'm real old. And what he does is he took God's promise. Yeah. And instead of allowing God to be the fulfiller, the finisher of the good work he started, he was like, I guess I need to get involved here. And what he did is he went and created an Ishmael. Yeah. And God ended up fulfilling his purpose with Isaac. But how much chaos in the world has now, even today in the Middle East, some of these things are all coming from, is it Ishmael or Isaac? Who was the son of promise? And I think we do that sometimes in our life. We release Ishmaels in our life because we're in such a hurry to fulfill what we feel like God's promised us. Yeah. And a lot of times that thing in us, that thing that we're feeling, it should be true. It is, but we begin to distort what that good or that truth is, or that thing that we feel like God's promised us. Right. Or maybe it's the thing that we feel like we don't deserve. We need to protect ourselves. And then we just slowly begin making these moves. And you're right, they're usually not drastic. There's usually not times that we're like, that's it, I'm fed up with God's way. I'm doing it on my own strength. Right. No, we convince ourselves we're helping God. Yeah. Right? We're convincing ourselves like this timeline's not going fast enough. So maybe that's on me. Maybe I haven't been doing my part enough. Maybe I need to get more involved. Maybe I need to be more. And the truth is there are times that God's asking for you to do something in this partnership. Yeah. But he loves to speak to us and he's very clear in his word. And so that will be made known to us. And I think sometimes our fear of maybe we're missing God pushes us to go and take even more control when sometimes that's the problem in itself. But he wants to communicate to us. He's going to show us things. And, that's something I really feel like in this season, God's been really enriching in my walk with him. Pastor Monk and I were actually talking about this morning is learning to get in the current that he already has going. I'm not responsible to create the current. I'm responsible to get in it. And what the current actually does when you're really in it, it kind of starts to guide you. If you've ever been in like really fast flowing water, you don't having to think, where should I swim to next? The current is guiding you.
Right.
But what happens if you get out in front of the current or you get in your own river? Every decision you are having to analyze. So I think a lot of us stay in this place of always thinking like we've got to provide our future or our moment.
Yeah.
Instead of that trusting current, the Bible calls it sometimes a rhythm of grace.
I always think about, even think about the story of Joseph, right? Like God may give you a vision, same the way he made this promise to Abraham. He gave like this vision to Joseph, and the story is that like, if you would have, I bet you it was funny for Joseph to keep remembering the vision God gave him when his life took the turn that it did. You know what I mean? His brothers selling him into slavery, and then him going to work at Potiphar's house, and then being thrown into jail. You know what I'm saying? And him being like, "Bro, what was this vision?" And maybe Joseph's error there was sharing that. You know what I mean? Like was going out there and being like, "Hey, this is God's vision for me."
Speed up the timeline. God's using me king. Cool. I need to go tell my brothers now, right? Because we got to change this scenario.
Right.
They should be respecting me more.
Yeah. And so sometimes, what if that's a thing for us? What if sometimes God puts something in our hearts, but like even us going and sharing things with everybody? I don't want to discourage anybody from sharing a vision that God's given them, but I feel like us being able to respect His timeline is a huge piece of it.
Yeah, and not everything God shares with you is meant for everybody.
Yeah.
If you and I had a private conversation, I told you something that was really deeply in my heart, that wouldn't be your responsibility now to go tell everybody what that is. That would actually kind of feel a little weird. Yeah.
And, you think of, this specific, Joseph thing, like this was also about his significance. You know what I mean? Like him being, people bowing down to him, that was significant. So I wonder if a piece of that, I don't want to throw any dirt on Joseph, but a piece of that was like, brought him great significance to even share something like that, which also was the reason why it happened so far on, is that he wasn't ready for that, and we try to speed up the process. I mean, go back to the children of Israel, you know what I mean? We try to speed up the process. Thank God that the mercy of God kept them in the wilderness because they were not ready for the promised land, and there's so many times for us that we get something, we get a promise and we go, all right, it's time to be at the promised land, but we are not ready for it.
We're not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was one of the points, if God's got you, then you'll trust Him with your this. I think it was, if God's got you, then God's got this. What is this? I don't know. Your significance, your timeline, your promotion, your protection, your and we tend to overstep and go, I've got to create my own significance.
Right.
I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast. I know we've talked about it because Michael Flores did a really cool conversation in his continuing ed about when the ark finally landed, the storm was over, and they began to try to send out the birds to see if there was land. Well, the first thing he did is he sent out a raven, and the raven never came back because the raven wanted to get off that boat and went and made room. And truthfully, the nature of the raven will eat off of the carcasses of dead flesh. But when the dove was sent out through the Spirit went out and looked and said it wasn't ready. The Spirit went out and looked, said it wasn't ready. And it continued to come back until it found green ground. And there's so many times in my life that I have been the raven. Yeah. And God did tell them it's time to get off the boat. But sometimes when God says it's time, that might mean in this decade, right? But we love that timeline to move quickly when we're ready to get off the boat. And I've been the raven. I've created Ishmaels because I'll get so out in front of God because at the end of the day, I don't trust Him with timelines. Like you said, sometimes God gives me a revelation about something that brings me some clarity and wisdom. Well, God was giving me that because He was going to give me the next step later. But instead, I'm like, oh, I know the answer. And I didn't actually know the answer. I might have known the problem, but He didn't give me the solution. So I made my own solution. Right. And we just get way out there because we just don't trust God. And I think depending on your temperament, probably it could go either way. You and I are a little, we're going to probably get in front of God, because we're going to try to make things happen. But I think some people go the other way when they're in fear of things not working out, or they're trying to protect, or they're trying to find. They actually begin really pulling back away and hoarding their resources and not stepping. So I think this could go, the extreme of it can look either way. I tend to describe the overzealous because I can be overzealous, but it can be underzealous, right? But both of those are actually not trusting the rhythm of God and him guiding it, having it and making things good.
Yeah. Yeah. You spoke about right then, one of the things, if you know that God's got you, then whatever.
God's got this.
God's got this. Yeah. Let's go into those real quick. I think you had 6 of them.
Yeah.
The first one being, if God's got you, then you'll obey his word. Yeah. So why is that the first one that you put on your list?
Because I think the word, it's, we live, everything is so subjective. I don't know. I heard this TikTok and I was talking to him and then, man, the other day I had some confirmation. So I'm just so confused. And God's word really isn't that confusing. It's confusing when we read it through the lens of God is not good, God is not just, and God is not kind. It can be very confusing. But when we read it through the revelation of his nature, God's word's pretty clear. And there's certain things in our life that I think everyday Christians don't honor, because it's not something that's maybe culturally important or significant. And so we just kind of don't do it. We complain all the time that our finances are good, but we don't tithe. Yeah. So it's like, well, if you really believe that God's got this and you really trusted God, wouldn't you do whatever God said? Yeah. If I was trying to get in shape and I got to talk to the greatest fitness coach in the world, I'm going everything they're saying I'm doing because they know. Right. If I'm meeting with a financial investor and he's like, I'm telling you right now, if you go do this, you'll make $1 million. I'm doing it. Yeah. But with God, we're like, I don't know. Right. That old book was kind of dusty. I don't really know.
Yeah. I really like how you said, simplify your source. I really like that because it's like, how many things are you considering outside of the word? You know what I mean? You lump those in, you lump in, even sometimes we can get oversaturated in church media. We can get really, really, really dependent on podcast, messages that preachers preach. We can get real reliant on social media, pastors, even graphics with nice little quotes that people like, we can get real dependent on that, that we actually take out the true source of his word, and I really liked how, you said, simplify your source, quit letting all these other voices come in, and I'm not saying that church media and any of those things are bad, but when that is the main source and it's not, an overflow out of you researching the word, then that's when it becomes a bad thing, you know?
Yep. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, man, there's so many things in the word that are right there that you can just do. And if you would just do those things, it would bring such clarity. Now there's things that aren't in the word. There's things that should I take this job or not? Yeah. And sometimes I think when I'm trying to figure out I should take this job, I'm getting people's opinions. What's everybody think? Because the word, it's not clear on it. It's clear on trusting God's voice and God opens doors. So you kind of want some counsel, and that's, those are good things to have in your life. But when it comes to some basic principles, forgiveness, tithing, sexuality, are the desires of the flesh, the Bible's really clear on it. And it's like we're always trying to find something else that overrides this, because I don't really want to do that. So come with you that.
Right. Pastor Bunk always says it all the time. He'll be like, yeah, okay. So he'll be like, he'll talking to Pastor James, like, okay, working out. Like, okay, so what you need to do is you need to eat good and work out. Like, yeah, sure. But so what else?
Give me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, that's it. Not to throw him under the bus, but he'll say that.
Which I'm literally that person. You know how many, I'm just looking, I'm just scrolling Instagram, somebody please tell me a new hack. Right. Because I don't want to actually do what it says. Do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I also like what you said too in this, if God's got it, then you obey his word. You said, selective obedience is disobedience. Us picking which part of the word that we can listen to. Yeah. Which one justifies us into doing the action that we wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah. And that kind of went with the second point. I don't remember how it was worded, but it's kind of like, if God's got you, you're going to remove yourself from the things that don't.
You'll detach from what doesn't.
Yeah. And I think some of that, I think there's things in our life that biblically are not things that will sustain us and will not bring us life. They're not of the spirit. They're actually of the flesh. Yeah. or of the darkness. And those things though, we've built infrastructure in our life that those things are okay, or that those things will keep us safe. And so instead of detaching from sin or detaching from anger and bitterness, detaching from fear, we kind of go, this in my life has actually protected me, or it's given me peace. Right now in this season, God just really wants me happy. Like, I don't know, you know? So if I really trusted him and he was like, hey, stay away from this. If I really trust him, I'd be like, okay.
Right.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand, God, why you act like it's such a big deal to forgive 70 times 7 a day, you know? And it's like, because like you won't understand. It's about protecting you. There's so many layers to this. Just forgive.
Yeah.
Like, but what about when they don't deserve forgiveness? No, 70 times 7.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think that's really good. And that, like you said, it kind of goes to that second one of detaching from what doesn't, you know, knowing that God has you really, like, I mean, that really is the simplify your source thing too. Like it really leans into that same thing. Like you really are trusting in the fullness of his word, you know, not those different pieces, right? Like I think that we, I think you said this on Sunday, but I think that we have so many different factors in that when it's time to get fruit and we have bad fruit and we have bad results, we're like, why is this? I did this part, like, but there's so many other steps that you skipped over, you know. Even right now we're riding the elf show for the Christmas train, and it was like, it's funny because in the story it's like they read this flight manual and step one is like reading the Jesus story, and then they flip and they're like, we don't have, we don't need it story time, we need to get this thing done. So then they flip and they go to they're like, the stubborn elf section. Okay, let me go into this. I think that's us sometimes, you know. We go into, we flip past some of the vitals. We pick the things that are convenient for us and not as uncomfortable. Yeah. And then when we get results that we don't like, we go, okay, what went wrong here?
Yeah. And there's so many things that we don't detach to because we actually like how they feed our pride. I mean, if you really stripped it, what's the opposite of knowing God's got you? It means I've got me and I need whatever these feelings or things I'm having. And I was thinking about, I don't think I do this now, but back in my younger years, I would use music. If I was feeling sad, well, then I'm going to help gas up that feeling. Yeah. I'm listening to some country. Yeah. I'm listening to some pain songs. Yeah. I'm putting on whatever, you know. And if I was mad and I needed to be in girl boss mode, well, I'm going to play this artist. Yeah. I'm going to get in this rhythm. And so instead of like detaching and going, hey, anger is not a virtue that God wants us to be living in. What I need to do right now is I need to search for truth and I need to release anger and try to ask God to give me clarity on how to get out of the situation or bring wisdom to something that keeps causing me angry. Like not gas it up and justify it so that I can go now return evil with evil. Right. So there's just a lot of things in our life that I think are subtle. I don't think they're like on the surface, these major things, but what those things are doing is it's actually partnering with this idea that God doesn't got me. Yeah. So I have to detach to things that do got me. Coffee, you know, I'm like, hold on, I just need coffee and Jesus. Yeah. Because what? Those are the two things that got me. I'm not saying coffee's bad, but I'm saying we actually do kind of help create narratives in our life that there's just certain vices or certain strategies that are like, those do got me. Yeah. And really, it's like some of those might need to be really audited in our lives because maybe they don't got you. Maybe they're actually the thing that's got you. Yeah. That's a hold of you. To go. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I want to pair these next two up kind of together, but 3 and 4 of, you know, when God's got you, you know that he's got it and you know that you don't. I thought that was funny. I think I got a laugh on Sunday too. Just like, why are those two different points? Why aren't those just one that's together? Yeah. Well, I think God's got me has to do with his nature. We kind of talked about it. Yeah. He's the wisest. He's the smartest. He knows your significance, la, 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 la. So I think understanding that and then also having an equal form of humility from myself to go, yeah, I don't. Right. And I think sometimes going like, yeah, God's really got this. And like, I'm real smart too. Right. You know, it's like, and I'm not trying to get people to have an inferior mindset about themselves, but I will say that the scripture says this, it says every good and perfect gift comes from God. Yeah. So if I am pretty smart sometimes, that's only because God let me be smart and he gave me that gifting. If sometimes I see solutions and answers, thank goodness he gives me solutions and answers. Right. And so I think when I go, God's got me, I don't. That means I need to be so reliant on his grace and his goodness all the time. I don't want to get out in front of myself. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And that was such a helpful thing for me in this season as God has been, even as a pastor, continuing to transform me. I think I shared a little bit last week, but when I came into this, I felt so responsible that God had to be good, and so did I. And I think because he's good, that will help me be good.
Yeah.
But I put so much pressure on myself of this performance and all these things that I really needed to carry. And as long as my pride was going, I am very significant and I am very important and I have a lot of great ideas. It was putting this, not only was it putting pressure, but it was actually letting me live under a little bit of a lie that actually was feeding ego in me, which is why sometimes when it did look like God's got it, I was an easy next place to go in the system because I probably could. If he kind of just like, if he doesn't, that's fine, I'll step in. But when I begin to almost tear down my own structure of how important I was, and I'm like, girl, you ain't got it. You's a hot mess. Like when God shows up, you good, but not, it allowed me to like, oh, I don't even want to like, if he ain't coming, I ain't going because I am not capable of doing anything without him. And so that began to not only create humility in my life, but it actually created freedom for me. Because now I didn't have to be so responsible. My responsibility was like, I don't know, I was going to follow the leader and I don't want to lose sight of him. But pride allows me to lose sight really quickly. So that humility actually partners really well with the posture of following and serving. And so, yeah, those are important. It's not just knowing he's good. You kind of got to know you're not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, it says that, you know, his yoke is easy and his burden is light, you know? Why it's just funny that we would choose anything other than that, you know? Of course, I think I would, like we said before, the main reason to us is probably the timeline. That's like got to be the main reason that we don't trust in him, you know, is because we don't like the timeline. You know, God's timing is always perfect. We love saying that. We don't love living that, you know?
Yeah, and it's not even just his timeline. Sometimes we don't like his value system.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like how he says what's good.
Right. Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
really like that either.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I'm the one that's got me, I know how fast I want this thing, and I know what I want, and I don't have to compromise. You know what I mean? Because my strict set of morals, so to say, or my justification system, you know, isn't challenged by anyone else.
Yeah, and then. What was the fifth one? It was
the fifth and sixth
the fifth was about the fruit.
Where it was like your heart feels it.
Yeah.
And then six was the world. The world sees it.
Yeah, and I think those two could kind of partner together as well, because if my heart really feels that he's got me, I really do live differently. There I think we talked about our posture of peace and there's a posture of hope. And when life gets difficult, that's how you really know where someone's foundation is built. They really trust God. Not that those things won't make them sad or they won't be, but there's a different presence about them. And you can talk really good game all you want, but what you really believe will come out and how you respond and how you navigate. One thing for me that I've noticed throughout my life is when I'm nervous, I will try to talk really fast and say all these words. And I'm going like, God, why do I feel the need sometimes to say so much information? And well, it's because I believe that if I don't do this or that, people are going to misinterpret me. And what is that? That's a sign of me not being in a place of peace.
Right.
Or really I could go, you know what, God, I'm just going to trust that you are going to give me the words I need to say. So I don't have to say so much.
Yeah.
Because if I can just listen to you, it'll be exactly what needs to be said. Not too little, not too much. And I can pull back. So I audit myself. I go, oh, there it is again.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the situation. So I'm over talking or I'm talking too fast. When this situation happens, I get in fear. So then I start trying to have all these conversations to make sure people, right? And so I think we live in that place. And whether or not we're willing to recognize that, the other person that you're talking to is recognizing that. Now, they might not understand what they're recognizing. They might not go, oh, right there, that means they're not trusting God. See that right there? That's not peace. But they are going, that person ain't in peace. Like they're a Christian and they're saying all the right things, but what they're bringing into this environment right now that they're carrying, the spirit they're carrying is not a spirit of peace. That's a spirit of fear.
Right.
And you don't have to be a Christian to recognize the spirit of fear.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that sixth point comes in is like when you really trust God and you know God's got this, the world will notice because you'll actually be living in peace.
Yeah.
And I don't think people live in peace.
Yeah.
I think it looks different on people, but that actual thing. And that's what I think was one of the things that made Jesus so attractive to people he was different. He was, there's times the Bible talks about him being sad, and there's times talking about the time he got really angry and flipped tables in the temple. So it's not that he didn't have emotions, but it's that even his emotions were grounded and rooted in the peace that he had from knowing he was in alignment with the Father.
Yeah.
The hope that he had, knowing that this would lead him to the cross, but that cross was going to bring so much for all.
Yeah.
So he could feel one way, but what he was carrying was actually the revelation of God's got this.
Yeah. I think that's great, and for everyone who's listening to really see if they have this in their life, if they are really trusting God. The question is, are you peaceful in these times of stress or change or anything like that? And don't confuse peace with comfort.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to like you said, it's not like you have a lack of emotions, but you have peace in knowing that God has whatever situation that's coming at you handled,
Yeah. I think I did like a women's thing, like a fall event. And I don't remember how I worded the title, but it was something like, you got a big butt, I think is what it was, something like that. And it was going like, you could have a big butt if you go, yeah, God's really good, but all these things are happening and I got to figure this out. Or you go, man, all these things are happening, but this is the right big butt. But God is so good and so faithful. And I am so sad right now. I hate that this is the season I'm in, but I know that he's working things out for good. And I don't like what's happening. That's not giving me peace. But knowing he is good and working all things out for good, I can find peace in that. It's taking longer than I wanted to. I didn't want to take this long. But if it's taking this long, that means he's working things out for good.
Yeah.
If I was going to go in for surgery, would I want a doctor that was going to rush through surgery and try to do it as quickly as possible to get me out of the OR? No, I'd want one. I don't care if it takes 27 hours.
Yeah.
Take as much time as you need to protect it and get it right. And God's doing that in our story and so many people's stories at the same time. And so he's doing it as the perfect timeline to make sure everything is working together right. And the times, and again, in my life, I would use that verbiage. Somebody would preach that to me and my answer would be, but what about this time God didn't work it out? And if that person would have done this and they would have done that. And I feel like God just continues to remind me, like every time that happens, it's because somebody gets out of the will of God.
Right.
And how do you get it? By not trusting him. They start to trust in themselves, or they trust in man, or they trust in money, or they trust in culture, or they trust in this relationship. They trust in reason, like we started.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we actually deny ourselves the benefit and the protection of being underneath God. We step outside of that umbrella and we kind of decline his offer to be our strength. And so, that doesn't mean he's not going to tell you to do things. You're going to be in partnership, but just make sure that you're standing on God's got this. All I have to do is stay with him, follow him. And that's where the freedom really lies.
Boom. Mic drop. That's great. I mean, this is a great message. And I think that, it's really important for us to have trust in God and have faith in God with no reservations, with nothing holding over here, being like, I trust in God and hiding this, this butt behind
There's a
this.
mystery living in God's provision.
Yeah.
Sometimes things do not look right, or things don't go as I thought they should, or when is that there's a mystery. But if you really trust somebody, the more you trust somebody, the less you have to know. I'm saying people that you really are close to, maybe you have a good relationship with your parents or your spouse, or you're like, I don't know all the details, but they told me they're coming, they'll be home later.
Right.
If they told me they're going to get me this present for Christmas, they're going to work it out.
Yeah.
Because you trust that person.
Right.
Well, if we really trust God, then we're okay with the mystery. We don't have to know as many details. One quick example when I was a kid growing up, I was really scared of the rapture, heaven, hell, death process. Yeah. And I just don't care anymore. Oh, because now you know how it's all going to happen. Like, no, I really don't study end times that much. There's a lot of different theories. James probably studies it way more than I do. I understand parts of it, but it's not something I would be like, I am a scholar at this information. How heaven and hell works and the moments of death, all those things. Like, did God show me so now I don't worry about it? No. He just showed me him. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. He's good.
That's good.
So how's it going to happen? Like, I don't know. I don't actually care. Yeah. It'll be good. But what if it's bad first? Well, if it's bad first, then he'll make it good. Yeah. But I don't see that's not really his nature. But, When?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we were laughing a few weeks ago. They were like, the rapture's going to take place on whatever day it was. It was like the day before your wedding. And I was like, hey, survey says, you know, but I'm laughing about it. But there was a time in my life that hearing somebody say that would give me such fear. But now what do I know? Well, I trust the word. And the word says no one knows the time or the place. So I've got that in my pocket. But I also know this. Say it is going to happen tomorrow. It'll work out. God's good. And he's going to, he's a restorer, you know? So I think that just framework, it just gives you so much peace to know him. Yeah,
that's good. Well, thank you for sitting down with us. This has been a great podcast. And if you guys wanted to check out the message, go check it out. Who's Got You?
Who's Got You?
And if you guys want to check out any other of our messages or our podcast, you can go check out our YouTube channel or on our podcast platforms. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for listening. If you want to check out full messages, you can find us at LS Church on all podcast platforms. And you can watch full services with worship at LS Church Alvin on YouTube.